Hi, this is Christina DiMaselli for GEG New England. Let's talk about feedback as formative assessment. We know that giving feedback that is non-evaluative, specific, timely, goal-related, provides students with opportunities to revise and improve their work and deepen their understanding. That's our goal. How can we do that within the Google ecosystem? Well, one way to explore is Doc Appender. This is Doc Appender. It is an add-on for Google Forms, and it appends Google Form question responses. So it adds on these question responses to the bottom of selected docs. Now, I will admit that this is a bit of a bear to set up. The prep work for this is a little bit cumbersome, but it's worth it in the end because it's really powerful what you can do with this. So let's take a look at it. Here's the workflow. So me, as a teacher here, I'm going to have a form that I'm going to fill out. Let's say I'm doing a walkthrough on student projects they're practicing today. One of the questions on that form is going to be a list of student names. So I've got Bugs Bunny, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, and each one of those corresponds to a document I have in a Google Drive folder. And every time that I submit that form, and I've selected a student name, for example, here, Bugs Bunny, when I hit submit, it's going to add on my responses to the end of that document. So you can see here that Bugs Bunny has two different responses. I've filled out that form twice and I've sent it off to him. So what does that look like? That looks like this. Doc Appender gives you three different options on how this will be formatted. This one here is a separate bulleted list. You could also choose rows in a single horizontal table or separate vertical tables. It's just different ways of the formatting of the question results that are coming through. Two things I'd like to note here. One, you'll notice that there's username. That's an option that you can toggle on or off in the Doc Appender options. And I think that it's useful if you're doing some peer feedback with the students. That way there's definitely some accountability as to who has done this response. And the second thing that I want to point out here is you'll notice I've got two different questions here. Is there some feedback today, and what is new? You could use the same form, but just change something in the questions periodically. So the kids are using the same form, but the question changes. You know, maybe you're doing some SEL work or something like that, and on a daily basis or weekly basis, you want it to be slightly different, but use the same form. So you can do that. You can do that here on the separate bulleted list, and you can do that on the separate vertical tables. You can see that I've done it here as well. This does not work when you're doing this single horizontal table. That's because you've got your columns that are named here, and there's no way that you could do what is the feedback today and change that to a different question. So just keep that in mind, that you need to know what format you're using if you're going to be changing up the questions. Okay, so let's get into the setup of this. I have a Doc Appender for You folder, and I'm trying to keep things fairly organized in here. So in here I have an example. I have a template. This is what I want to use for each of my kids. I want them all to kind of look like this. And then I have my form. All of this is going to dump into this Docs folder, and this is where, so I used that template and I just made one for Iron Man, one for Wolverine. So we could take a look at this. This is Iron Man. If you're wondering what I did there, I just selected Iron Man once and I hit P for preview, or you could do the little eyeball and it just shows it up as a preview without opening up that document all the way. So this is what Iron Man looks like right now. I don't have anything in there for him. Wolverine and Wonder Woman. So they're all just blank right now. But they're going to be populated when I submit through this form. So I created this form for myself as the teacher, again, as I do my walkthrough. You'll notice that I have some cues in here for myself. I have a visual. Maybe this might be something that my school is working on to kind of keep us on track with feedback so that we're consistent. And there's a definition here of good formative assessment relative to feedback. You could do this with kids surveys too, the kids forms, and give them some clues, some cues, a visual, something that kind of directs them into good responses and good types of feedback that they can give. So let's start with the questions. There's a student name one, and I made it required because this is what ties to that document in that folder. Right now it just says option 1. Stick with me, that'll populate later. So here are my questions. Again, myself as the teacher, maybe I'll put something I noticed. Here are a couple of questions that could be related to goals we have as a class for the project they're working on. And maybe I want to add a reflection prompt. I want them to start thinking about something to bring to a discussion on the next day. This isn't the greatest of examples, but it's something I just threw together for you. So let's set up Doc Appender. We click on the puzzle piece for add-ons. I've already installed Doc Appender. You may end up having to talk to your admin if it's not open, if it's not whitelisted, and ask them to whitelist it. So open the sidebar. Okay, so I need to select the target doc folder. I'm going to pick from the drive. Remember, I kind of kept organized over there. I don't like things to go in the main folder where the templates and the form is. So I'm going to select that. Okay, next. The doc picker question. This is that student name question. What this is going to do is it's going to take the names of all of the documents in that folder and it's going to make it into this question. So I'm going to select the question. It takes a second for this to pick up. I'm not sure why. There it is. That's going to happen to you. Don't freak out. So student list, student name, and I'm going to refresh the list. All right, should be okay. So save and populate. And here we go. It pulled the names. Remember, if I go back here to my file, remember I picked this folder, Iron Man, Wolverine, and Wonder Woman. Iron Man, Wolverine, and Wonder Woman. It picked it all up for me. Next, what form values do I want to add to that target document? So here in this example, I did timestamp, username, and then these 2 questions. What do I want to do here? Let's do timestamp. I don't really need the student name because they know who they are. Something I noticed, strength, this. Let's do student name anyway. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'll do it as a separate bulleted list. We'll do that one. Enable. And that's it. Doc Appender is set up. All right, I'm going to click the eyeball and let's walk through this and let's do one. Okay, let's do Iron Man. Something I noticed. You spoke very clearly. Clear and concise presentation. Ensuring presentation is concise. What was the most important thing? Submit. And we're going to go back here to Iron Man. I'm going to click again, P for preview, to open that up. Give it a second to go. And there it is. Everything is right there. Okay, let's go back through and let's change some things. Let's go back. I want to include all of the above option. Save and populate. Do you see what changes here? Now I have an all of the above option. If I have something here that I want to add to all of the students, if I noticed maybe that they all need this certain feedback or they all need to hear something, whatever it is, I can do all of the above and they all get it. Next. Save changes. And here we go. All of the above. I'm just going to put yes. We're just going to go real quick through this now. Ensuring this, submit. And now when I go back here, let's start, give it a chance to populate these. As you can see, there it is, starting to come through here. Come on. It's taking a second. But you can see that it's starting to populate here, and it's starting to add things on. So that's just one way of doing some feedback. And I encourage you to go ahead and take a good look at that and see what you could do with it. So this is the bonus material that I forgot before. I had mentioned that you have the option of doing this username here, but I didn't show you how to do it. So here's how we're going to do it. You need to make sure that you are collecting the email address, which I wasn't doing. So in settings, under responses, I'm going to collect the email addresses. Once I do that, that's going to give me the opportunity here in the Doc Appender options. Did I click too fast? I clicked too fast. My bad. All right, it's going to give me the chance here. I'm going to, it always makes me save and populate the selected question. Not sure why. But now you can see I've got username. And if I click that and save changes, it's going to add that on when it throws this into the document.